Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Breakdown. Today we're going to be looking at the GAT-X105 plus AQM-E-YM1 Perfect Strike Gundam. Followed by Mula Flaga. You have no idea how many takes it took me to get that right. Now the Perfect Strike is a DLC suit. And we will get into is it worth using, of course, later on. When we ask that wonderful question that we ask in the second match. But first, let's get into what it can do. You have your basic shot, pretty damaging, not too bad, recharges pretty quickly. Charge it for a Garobi that can be arced, nice. You have Beam Boomerang, which is pretty nice. And then if you charge that, depending on how you charge it, you get different effects. If you charge it with the left bumper, you get the Garobi again. Alternatively, if you charge it with melee, you get this Barrage, which is very nice. Left bumper or left trigger is the shot, which is pretty good, the particle shot. Right trigger is that short hop, I guess you could call it. It's a very short dash forward. However, if you use the control stick, you can change what type of attack it is, and it instead becomes that charge forward, that leap. Then when it gets to your standard melee attacks, you have... Almost come back to me there. You have forward melee, which is the spin. Pretty nice. Not super damaging, but really good for getting you away from things while you're doing melees. You have the chase right there. You have... I missed. You have your side melee here, which is pretty good. You have basic melee, which we use after he gets up. That one missed. Basic melee is pretty good. Does quite a bit of damage, right about 200. Can sometimes do 208 depending on how it hits. And then you have back melee, which is a stun that drags them to you, which is by far my favorite thing about this suit. There's a lot to love about the Perfect Strike, but the fact that you have that on lockdown whenever you want it, it's there, infinite use, is really good because you can use it to drag them into other attacks. I can just hit with it. Apparently it's very difficult for me to do right now. And then right into... That was the cancel there that you could do with the right trigger. If you just mash it, you can dash cancel. Not super useful, but can be handy at times. You can cancel straight into... shot. If you are quick enough with it, you can hit them with a stun, dash away before you drag them in, which is what I've been trying to show. And then Garobi them. But I am not anywhere near fast enough with it. So then, of course, the question becomes, should you use the Perfect Strike? It's $5, so it immediately becomes a question of wallet, especially for a game like Gundam Versus that has started to fall off in player count. But if you still enjoy playing Gundam Versus, and you're looking for a suit that has good mid-range, good short-range, and some decent long-range, honestly, of the DLC suits, it's probably one of the more worth it, on the worth it side. Because it's not just a cool suit, it has some good utility, it has some really fun options, and what it brings to the table I think is really good for one-on-ones, but also really, really good for 2v2s. Because the different ways that it can lock down an opponent. Your enemy may not be expecting you to suddenly fire a Garobi from halfway across the map that hits them as well. I jumped up into that. It is still $5 though, and now that we are pretty decent into the series, quite a bit of time has passed and Gundam Versus has kind of fallen off with the player base. So I hesitate to tell anyone that spending money on this game or DLC is worth it. At this point, I did it, and I don't regret the decision. I like the Perfect Strike quite a bit. I think that it's really fun to use, especially after I spent a little bit more time with it and learned some nifty things that I can do, like that. That's the main thing that I use the short hop for, is to cancel into a regular melee attack. But that comes down to a personal thing for everyone that is watching. Everyone that has this game needs to decide for themselves if buying DLC for this game is worth it anymore. And as we get into more of the DLC suits, as time passes, I will make sure to mention that again. The striker is just a melee striker there, as you can see, but it has its uses for sure. And then the burst is pretty cool. You didn't get to see it because he downed immediately. Thought I gave him enough time to recover. But the burst is basically a melee burst where he swarms in, does a bunch of hits, and then knocks him into the air and shoots him. Really cool. Should you use the perfect strike? I think so. If you own it, there's no reason not to. It's a very good suit. Short range, it has some really fun melee combos, and it has that stun, which is amazing. For medium range, it has the beam boomerang and the missile barrage on the charge, as well as that shot right there. And then for long range, of course, it has the Orobi. I think it's worth it. But until next time, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum, but the perfect strike has to offer.